foreign trade policy 2023. Okay. So you know that earlier we had this policy, foreign trade policy for the year 2015 and 2020, but with the onset of pandemic and corona, this COVID-19, government kept on postponing the same, fine, or kept on rather extending the same foreign trade policy of 2015 up till 2020 and extended it finally up to March 31st, 2023. So after that, Government of India came up with a new foreign trade policy, revised foreign trade policy. Not much has been has changed. You can say the soul is remains the same, but only change has taken place at the level of body with respect to the latest foreign trade policy. So we'll see some some changes. Before that, remember the principle on which this foreign policy is based on is basically it is based on the continuity of, let us say, time tested schemes. There are lots of schemes related to support measures as well, which has been provided under this foreign trade policy, existing foreign trade policy of 2015-2020. So this has been continued. Fine, they will be there as it is. And there are also principal measures like responsiveness to the requirement of trade, and alongside that trust and partnership. So the focus is also on the trust and partnership buildings with exporters especially, and you see that's one of the reasons that why the Government of India is trying to sign as much free trade agreements as possible, and we are in the process to negotiate the same with the United European Unions, fine, and many other countries. And recently we have concluded this kind of comprehensive economic trade agreements related measures or agreements with, let us say, UAE and even Australia. Fine. So you see that why we are focusing on that. So one of the major reason is that our focus is to enhance our trade exports, especially, fine, trade like overall exports, both of goods and services, from currently standing at, for the year I am giving you figure 70, and even this was covered under Hindu, and I have discussed that figure in our Hindu analysis class. This is the latest authentic figure from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. I mean, the Government of India authorized this. So of course, this is an authentic figure, and for the financial year, fiscal year 2023, means the figure is of 2022 and 23, the most latest figure that we have for the current fiscal year that we end up with. So of course, for that we have our exports stood at the highest ever level, and that was $775.86 billion. Fine, means you can say near about $776 billion, $776 billion of exports, and this has been record exports up till now. Fine, as far as our exports are concerned, fine, including both goods and services. But our focus is on enhancing or taking this below 1 trillion or below $1,000 billion of exports to $2 trillion of exports by the year 2030. Fine. So our target is to take this figure of $776 billion for the fiscal year 23 to $2 trillion in the fiscal year 2030 or 31. Fine. Fine. So remember these figures. This figure is very, very important. You can quote anywhere. Fine, because this is an authentic one. So this much I have said, we have already reached the record high export performance for this fiscal year, that is of $776 billion. Okay. So apart from this, there are certain pillars of new FTP approach. So the 4 pillars of new this foreign trade policy, which is very, very important from exam point of view. They ask direct questions like, which among the following is not one of the pillars of foreign trade policy 2023. So there are 4 sets of pillars for this trade policy, the latest one. Kindly write down. Number 1 pillar is from incentives to tax remissions. Number 1 pillar is from incentives to tax remissions, means government is going to not just give incentives, but also or shifting from incentives to tax remissions, means whatever government charges taxes like even export duties and import at times, so government is going to give some remission in that export duties. Fine. The second pillar is greater trade facilitation. Greater trade facilitation. Greater trade facilitation through technology, automation and continuous process re-engineering. Fine. Just write down this much, greater trade facilitation, the second pillar. The third pillar is export promotion. The third pillar is export promotion. And final and the last pillars of this year's policy is focus on emerging areas. Focus on emerging areas. For example, e-commerce exports, then developing districts as export hubs, like the focus of many of the state governments is on one district, one program. Now one block, one product, or one district, one product, means this substantiates this point of developing districts as export hubs. Fine, which is the fourth and the last part pillars of this foreign trade policy 2023. Fine. So I hope all the four pillars are clear to you. I repeat, the first is from incentives to tax remission, second greater trade facilitation, third is export promotion, and fourth and last is focus on emerging areas. Fine. So these four pillars are very, very important. Direct questions you can expect from this. Now we can also gauge or we can focus on the India's trade profile. Fine, for the year 22-23, or you can say fiscal year 23. So the figure that I gave you in the previous class was from the economic survey based figures. For the year, probably most of them figures were for the year 2021, but now today I am providing you the figures. Wherever you find the figure is same, please keep it as as you have written, but wherever you find that figure has been changed, please do correct it. Fine. This is the latest figure that we have, and that is for fiscal year 2023. That is the year I am talking about, 2022 to 23.